the world to see. Wherever the same rainbows end, waiting round the bend, my huckleberry friend, Moon River and me.
Mr. Chalmers was doing space work in the newspaper Morning Beacon, hoping to be put on a salary. He wrote to attend the city whispered or wrote on his diligent wanderings about the streets of New York. His income was not regular. That day, Mr. Chalmers had managed to get $5 for his Sunday story. So he was feeling at peace with the world, and he was beginning to write a poetic description of the Brooklyn Bridge by moonlight. One day, Tripp came in. Tripp was summoned to the mechanical department. He was 25 and looked 40. He was miserable, and he always borrowing sums of money.
From 25 cents to $1. That's my limit.
$1 really was his limit. He held his hand with the other to keep both from shaking. Whiskey.
Well, Tripp, how goes?
Have you got $1?
I have. And 4 besides. And I have had a look at them. And I did them all.
I don't want to borrow any. I thought you'd like to get a good story. I have really fine one for you. It will probably cost you $1 or $2 to get the stuff. I don't want anything out of it myself.
What is this story?
I'll tell you. It's a girl, a beauty. She's lived on Long Island 20 years and never saw New York City before. I ran against her on 34th Street. She just got in on East River Ferry. She stopped me on the street and asked me where she could find George Brown. Asked me where she could find George Brown in New York City. What do you think of that? I talked to her and found that she was going to marry a young farmer named Dodd, Hiram Dodd, next week. But it seems that she can't forget George Brown. George set off for New York some years ago. He did not reappear. So this morning Ada, her name's Ada Lowery, saddled a horse and rode 8 miles to a railroad station to catch 6:45 a.m. train. She came to the city to look for George. She thought the first person she met would say, "George Brown? Why, yes, let me see. He's a short man with light blue eyes, isn't he?" "Oh, yes, just found George Brown on 135th Street, right next to the grocery." That's about how innocent and beautiful she is. You want to see her.
And what did you do then?
What could I do? What could I do? She paid her last cents of pocket money for her railroad ticket, except the quarter, which I had spent on candy. I took her to a boarding house on 32nd Street, and now she has to pay $1 to the landlady. I'll show you the house.
That's no story. I thought you said you had a story. Every ferry boat across the East River brings or takes away girls from Long Island.
Can't you see what a fine story it would make? You ought to get $15 for it, and it will probably cost you only $4. So you will make a profit of $11.
How will it cost me for job?
$1 to the landlady, and $2 to pay the girl's fare back home.
And the plot?
$1 to me for whiskey. Are you on? Don't you see that this girl has got to be sent home today. Not tonight, not tomorrow, but today. I can't do anything to her.
And then Mr. Chalmers began to feel what is known as the sense of duty. In a kind of chilly anger, he put on his coat and hat. But he swore to himself that Tripp would not get that dollar.
You won't get the dollar.
Tripp took Mr. Chalmers in a street car to the boarding house. Mr. Chalmers paid the fares. In a dim parlor, a girl sat crying quietly and eating candy out of a paper bag. She was a real beauty. Crying only made her brilliant eyes brighter.
Miss Lowery, Mr. Chalmers. Chalmers? Miss Lowery. My friend, Mr. Chalmers, will tell you the same that I did. He is a reporter, and he can handle the talk better than I can. That's why I brought him with me.
Why, Miss Lowe? It's your service, of course. But, as I don't know the circumstances of the case, I...
Oh, it isn't as bad as that. There ain't any circumstances. It's the first time I've ever been in New York, except once, when I was 5 years old, and I had no idea it was such a big town. And I met Mr. Smith on the street, and asked him about a friend of mine, and he brought me here and asked me to live.
I advise you, Miss Lowery, to tell Mr. Chalmers all. He is a friend of mine, and he will tell you what's the best to do.
Why, certainly. There isn't anything to tell except that, well, everything fixed for me to marry Hiram Dodd next Thursday evening. He's got one of the best farms on the island. But this morning, I said of my horse, he's a white horse named Dancer, and they rode over to the station. I told him at home I was going to spend the day with Susie Adams, and they came to New York, and they met Mr. Flynn on the street, and asked him if he knew where I could find a job.
Now, Miss Lowery, you like this young man, Hiram Todd, don't you? He is all right and good to you, isn't he?
Of course I like him. He's all right, and of course he's good to me. But last night, I started thinking about George. George Brown and I were sweet cousins since he was 8 and I was 5. When he was 19, that was 4 years ago, he went to New York. He said he was going to be a policeman or a railroad president or something, and then he would come back for me. But I never thought of him anymore. And I liked him.
Miss Lowery, life is not a queer proposition after all. Those whom we first loved will seldom well. Our early romances, being with the magic radiance of youth, often fail to materialize. But life is full of realities, as well as visions and dreams. One cannot live in memories. May I ask Miss Lowery, do you think you could spend a happy and harmonious life with Mr. Dutt?
Oh, Kai's all right. Yes, I could get along with him fine. He's promised me an automobile and a motorboat. But somehow, when it got so close to the time I was to marry him, I couldn't help wishing. Well, just thinking about George. Something must have happened to him, or he would have written. On the day he left, he got a hammer and a chisel and cut the sand into 2 pieces. I took one piece and he took the other, and we promised to be true to each other and always keep the pieces till we saw each other again. I put mine at home in the mailbox. I guess I was so silly to come here. I never realized what a big place it is.
Oh, the boys from the country forget a lot when they come to the city. He has probably met another girl or something. You go back home and it will be all right. Oh, Mr. Chalmers.
Well, let's try to catch a ferry boat.
Can't you make a story out of it?
Not alive.
I'm so sorry. What? What? Oh, yes. George Brown or Trip. What's the use?
No story. I was doing space work on the morning beat.
Smile, though your heart is aching, smile, even though it's breaking when there are clouds in the sky. You'll get by if you smile through your fear and sorrow. Smile, and maybe tomorrow you see the sun come shining through for you.
Light up your face with gladness.
Hide every trace of sadness.
Oh, my dear, maybe never so near.
That's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You, sadness, life is still worthwhile.